34 minutes with Chrismak.
And a half. I gotta add the half there. Okay, first of all, my timer is still broken. Chris, you have to come out of your spiral of death. Guys, also, Addie, sorry, I forgot to give you time to clip. I'm sorry, after I start highlighting. I'm sorry. Profesh! Chris, this is mostly your fault. It is your fault if you think about it.
What the hell are you doing? What are we doing here?
Okay, here's what we're doing.
No, we're not. We're not doing nothing because you're too stupid.
I'm not. I'm hype drunk. I'm not stupid.
Yeah,
I'm
I
hype
know.
drunk.
So what's the point? You really want to be serious?
Listen,
hold on. Here we go.
Listen.
This is like normal. This is like normal.
What are those? Monopoly?
There is Zoltar cards of fortune. Pick 1 to 4.
Fool it.
All right, 4. Your card is? All right.
You know what? That deserves. So, did you know I was gonna pick 4? Or do they all say "fuck you" on them?
No, actually, they don't. There's just one that said "fuck you." But you know, it makes it even better for me.
You're such a fucker. My God. Oh my fucking God. Chris, why are you the way that you are? I swear to God. Hold on, Chris. Addie said that you're too low. Chris, get erect.
What do you mean I'm too low?
No, it's not you. It's me. Just stay still. Okay, there you go. I fucking there.
Here, let me take my shirt off.
Do it. Okay, let's be serious. Okay. Okay, so for real. Okay, can I just try to, like, by the way, can you at least say I'm proud of you for keeping as erect as I have been? Because I'm barely alive right now. I mean, like, I'm basically...
No, I'm not, actually, because, and I'll tell you why, because before this ends, we're going to talk about your goddamn lunch.
What's wrong? Well, okay. I don't think there was anything wrong with it. Okay, but here's the deal. Okay, I just want the record to show that I resisted the temptation that was right there, welling up in my throat hole of crying, because once I start crying, I cry for an hour. Second of all,
why would you cry?
What did you just say to me?
Why would you cry?
Why would I cry? The fact that I haven't is sheer willpower.
Right. From what? What are you crying for?
Cry? I feel like you guys fucking...
See, that's the problem with relationships.
That's a good segue.
Crying.
No, shut up, Chris. Shut up. You're such a fucking liar. He's lying. Beans, okay, listen to me. Okay.
Aiden watching you with the crying all the time, and you're
bad. You can't take it. All right, here's the deal. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Oh my God, the fact that I'm even alive right now, I'm basically, right after these 30 minutes are over, I'm going to literally dissolve to the ground in a fucking puddle of urine. I'm only alive right now because I knew we had a podcast. All right, here's what we're gonna do. So, for anyone who doesn't know, Chris and I have a monthly podcast. Stop.
Good time.
About sex turtles. I did, Carly. I peed while I was dungeoning you. Okay, thank you, fucking Jesus, Buzzab.
Here's a question.
No,
what kind of sex turtle is Aiden, and what kind of sex turtle are you? Are you one of them just laying in the bed sex turtles on the back, on the shell, doing nothing?
Chris, come on. You met me. Do you really think?
I love that you blush a bit.
I'm not gonna blush, but do you really think I'm a fucking, what do they call those starfish people? Come on, man. Like, don't put some fucking slander on my name and don't soil me. I'm a lady. Now let me fucking tell them what we're doing tonight. Jesus, before you just start slandering me. So, tonight is a 34 and a half minutes podcast. By the way, Addie, if we could get a half added to this, and a half added to our normal spleen, that would be great.
Did you say your spleen?
Yes. I'm gonna fuck Addie till I hit her spleen. No. So what I said is I need a 34 and a half. We gotta add the half because we've now been doing this podcast for like a year and we still haven't added the half to it. So Chris is also home. You're home, which is amazing. I don't think you've been home for the last 6 episodes.
Yep.
That's crazy. All right, so how's being home?
We are gone next week. But it is very nice. Are you
serious? Where are you going next week?
We're going.
Is it a secret?
We're going to Long Beach. for a conference about technology and mental health. We're going to Shillong Beach.
You had that one in your pocket. You were waiting to use that all day.
Yes, I do have a Shillong in my pocket. Want to see?
Oh my god!
Ladies,
show it to Carly. I mean, not to Carly. Oh my god, I meant Stephanie.
Show it to Carly. Wow.
I looked at Carly's name and was thinking Stephanie. I'm sorry. I just
love that you're gonna have a Me Too moment on me, but it's you that put me in this moment.
Don't even fucking joke about that. I literally was looking at Carly's beautiful face and I was thinking your wife, Stephanie. Shut the fuck up. Do not whip your schlong out for anybody. Okay, so let me explain. So
for anybody? just never.
Don't whip your song out for anybody. Don't whip your song out for anybody, and also not even to pee. Just pee in your pants. Okay. Just like Jesus Christ. Okay, so listen.
Jesus Christ didn't pee in his pants. Did you say just like Jesus Christ?
Did you know that? Okay, Rizzy Water, thank you for jizzing. Okay, now here's the deal.
Yeah, he didn't. Where have you seen Jesus wear pants?
Where have you? You know what? Don't make me go down a religious route. Okay. Now, oh God, I've just been trying to introduce this podcast this whole time.
Yeah, I know.
So, for anyone who doesn't know,
you think he had trousers?
Are you talking about Jesus or you?
Jesus, well, both of us actually.
I think you are pantless right now.
You never see Jesus in pants. He's not like,
Chris, come on. I mean, like, what the fuck? Okay, we're talking about relationships today.
Hold on, before we start. When were pants invented?
When were pants invented? When?
Nair will figure it out.
Nair will tell me. He knows everything. So listen to me. So, for anyone who doesn't know, we do a podcast, Chris and I, that is 34 and a half minutes long. At 34 and a half minutes, Chris hangs up on me. If you want to watch any of the past episodes, they are all on YouTube. No, don't you fucking dare. All on YouTube under the playlist 34 and a half minutes podcast. They can range in like completely no topic and we just hop to topic to topic. Or it could be where we have a planned topic and it's a little bit, I wouldn't say serious because Chris and I are never serious, but we're basically the Chaos Twins. And so you're going to expect that. But Chris is also the founder of the Erica Legacy Foundation, which is a suicide prevention and mental health advocacy charity based out of Canada. But tonight, because there's been so many poops who are either starting a new relationship, either starting a new relationship or having relationship rocky road. That's an ice cream, but we decided to talk about relationships with like a little bit of a focus tonight on relationships because there has been I've been getting a lot of DMs from lots of different poops, either starting their relationship and they're really excited and they're asking for advice, or they're having some issues with the relationship, they're also having some advice issues. So, not the ice cream, Jelly Belly. So Chris and I, we're going to talk about relationships. The first thing, because Chris and I have both been in long-term relationship. Chris previously married.
I thought you were going to say just that we were in relationships. You're not saying that we're married.
We are not married.
We have been in relationships.
We have been not with each other, but we've been in relationship with other individuals for a very long period of time. Chris is married. I am married. Chris, how long have you been with Stephanie now?
As long as you and Aiden, I think. But so me and Stephanie are weird.
Yes.
We've been together since 2015, but we knew each other since like 2002.
Okay, 2000. Don't say 2002. It is 2002. Fuck. Okay, so
202.
So you guys, Aiden and I have been together since 2006. So it's around, you've known each other about as a little longer, and you've been together a little less, and then we've been together longer, but we've known each other less.
2006 said you suck. Anyway, go on.
You know what? I can't even make it through a sentence. So basically, you've been with Stephanie a very long time, and I wanted to ask because I feel like, do you get questions about like relationship advice and what works for you, what doesn't? Because I feel like when you've been in a relationship for a long time, people will ask for advice to you, and is that something that happens for you a lot?
All the time, and in our friend group, in a lot of ways, me and Stephanie are seen as the couple that you kind of want to emulate because we got it down pretty good right now.
I think what's interesting, and I think that whenever me, you, Nair, Brady, Stephanie, and Aiden are all together, that kind of went out of order there, but that's okay.
Wow.
When all six of us are together, I think the reason why it always gels so nicely is because I think that one of the biggest things that I see in our little group when the six of us are together are that we genuinely really, really like our significant other. Like, they're our best friend. We could spend every day with them and not get sick of them. We prefer to spend time with them. And I think that's one of the big things that people will ask me advice on. Like, Aiden and I both work from home. You know, we spend as much, I wish I could spend more time with him. He wishes he could spend more time with me. We always joke that the best time in our lives was when he didn't have a job and we were just together 24/7. And I wonder, do you feel that way, or do you also, are you somebody who's like, no, you know, I need my space? Because I feel like when we talk about traveling, you say that you much prefer to travel with Stephanie and you wish she could be with you all the time. So are you somebody who also advocates that, like, being with your significant other should not be something that you're like, oh, I need space from?
No, I think that you should, if it works for you.
Yeah.
Stephanie will say that it takes her 4 days when I'm gone alone. It takes her 3 to 4 days before she misses me, and it takes me about 50 miles. So when I'm 50 miles away from the house, I'll start texting her, be like, I want you to be here because I hate it. But I think that there is, I think there's a real big, people believe that they shouldn't be with their friends and spouses all the time.
Right.
They think that they shouldn't work together. You don't mix that kind of stuff together. And it really, you know, if you can do it right, and you can, it takes a lot of work, because you got to break down all of the bullshit beforehand, which we can talk about because I sent you some stuff.
Yes, you did. I have it open. Yeah.
But once you can break down the boundaries and really learn communication and shit, like, I work with Stephanie and we travel all the time, and I want to be with her all the time.
Right.
And she wants to be with me 90% of the time, which is great.
Right.
But the reason that Stephanie wants to be with me less than I want to be with her is because Stephanie is like Aiden,
right,
and I am like you,
right,
and we get energy from people, and they get energy from a little bit of no talky time,
right? Exactly. And that, I completely agree, because you and Stephanie are the opposites attract, just like me and Aiden are sort of opposites attract. And I think it's absolutely true. Aiden gets energy from alone time as well. I don't think necessarily, it's interesting because, like, alone time for Aiden, like, I could be in the room with him as long as he's doing an activity that is singular. Like, if he's playing video games and I'm reading next to him, he is fine. But it's a very different mechanism for our relationship when we're side by side doing our own hobbies. We are still together and still spending time together, but it's definitely different than going out to dinner and talking or watching a movie together.
I can't.
You don't talk about going out to dinner, because I'll probably fucking throw up and have food poisoning.
I can't think of you two side by side, because I see Aiden doing his hobby side by side. Let's pretend his hobby is puzzles. Let's just pretend. I just see you guys at a table, and he has a puzzle, and he's like doing his puzzle, and you're just fucking eating rocks. Hey, this one tastes good.
No, we did we put, one of our favorite hobbies that we did was we put together that Hocus Pocus Lego house. That was so much fun, actually. We were like, we should start being puzzle people. Well, we don't fucking ruin this house to have any fucking not puzzles, Lego, because we displayed the Lego. Anyways, it's not a point. But I feel, well, Carly said no relationship gels well all the time, and that's absolutely true. I feel like that was something that you and I have talked about a lot, because Aiden and I still have our bumps. Like, we definitely still have our issues. I would never say it's the same as when we were young. I think one of the things that for me and Aiden is a struggle that other people won't have is that we started dating when we were so young, that you have some bad habits from when you were young that you would never have as an adult, but the memories of those habits and those traumas and those things still linger. So our communication is the best it's ever been, knock on anything, but he still, like, expects me sometimes to have the reaction that I used to have when I was on birth control. And you guys know birth control, like, fucked me up. So he's still unlearning, and then I'm still learning to who I am off of birth control. So I feel like that's an interesting thing that I think a lot of, like, high school sweethearts have to deal with, is that when you were together, when you were really, really young, you are not the same when you're 16 to when you're 33. You know what I mean? That's something that when Aiden and I say our relationship doesn't gel all the time, I would say, you know, we still have our hiccups, but it's not like it used to be when we were having much more, like, explosive, dramatic, Twilighty fucking bullshit fights. Because because we were young, you know what I mean? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about couples fighting? I personally think that it's totally natural to have normal levels of fights. I do not think punching holes in the wall, smashing, doing anything violent or like that is ever okay. But like, how do you feel about arguing? How do you feel about like couples having arguments?
I think that you should do it. And then I think you should sit back after you do it and kind of figure out why it happened and what happened there.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that happens with my mom, actually, because relationships and family or love or whatever they all say. And there are times in my mom, me and my mom fight like cats and dogs, and I'm a mama's boy.
Really?
But there came a point, literally just recently, where I'm like, I realize as I'm arguing with her, because she's thinking in a way that I don't think, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna win this fucking thing. We're just gonna argue. This is whatever. I don't care.
Right.
Do whatever you wish.
You pick your battles. You pick your battles with her, kind of thing.
So I think that if you fight and you realize why you were fighting, and then you realize the stupidity behind it, or you realize what should have been changed, and you talk about what should have happened there, fighting's great. In fact, 3 days ago, Stephanie was doing something really late at night, and I was not. So I sat watching you and other streamers, and she was like really, really hungry, and we had food, and she's like, you could have just made dinner for us. It's now 11 o'clock. And I'm like, hey, you want to go for dinner for like something? Yeah, I was in trouble.
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting is that I sometimes think, well, that's a very specific thing where I get into pitfalls like that too. Sometimes, and I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for Stephanie or other women. I do think sometimes I don't articulate what I actually want because I want Aiden to know what I want. It's not a good habit. Nobody can read your mind. Nobody knows what you want. So let's say you want something, but you don't want to ask for it. You want them to think of it on their own.
Everybody knows that.
Well, but it's. I think that this is a very specific woman feeling because I think, for instance, if I have to ask Aiden to get me flowers,
of course you don't want flowers.
No, I want flowers.
But if you have to ask, sometimes you're like, I shouldn't have to fucking ask.
Well, a lot of people in relationships, the deterioration happens because you are constantly asking for things. You're asking for them to do this, or this. You're asking for flowers. You're asking for emotional support, physical touch, whatever it is. And when the more you have to ask, the more you're gonna, I feel like, become resentful and be like, I don't want to keep asking. I want them to do it. And you end up falling into a pitfall that's similar to like the dinner situation you had with Stephanie. Like, she probably wanted you to make dinner for her.
Totally.
But she didn't ask because she wanted you to do on your own. And so what a healthy communication style that you guys have is that she expressed her, like, what you could have just made dinner for me earlier, and you go, you want to go get dinner now? And I'm sure you guys got dinner and it was fine. And that's what
she suffocated me with a pillow at night.
She fucking did it.
It was just like, you bastard. It was really ugly.
She's threw the spaghetti down your throat. No, I said I've never been in a proper relationship in my mid-40s. Now it's like one of those things I suppress. How do you feel about people who haven't been in a relationship and they're, is that something you suppress, or is it something that you still want? Is that something that you're still open to? Like, what are your thoughts on that, Chris?
I think I am always open for a relationship. If I was single, I'd be always open for a relationship until I die, because I'm a people person and I just like people. I find people. Here's the one thing that people lose in general. We grow up and we lose because we get bogged down, or we get hurt, or we get scared, or other things happen in our lives, and we lose a whimsical side of us that are interested in everything.
I agree.
And when it comes to things like that, so here's some actual research that has happened, because I've been thinking about this. Do you know, chat, do you know that research has revealed, I have it written down, research has revealed one's own personality predicts long-term relationship satisfaction. So your own personality reflects your long-term relationship success, because people get stuck on the personality of the other person.
Interesting. I think that makes sense because I think I've talked about this a lot because, we have a lot of poops in here who will ask about relationships and advice and whatever. And I think one of the things is like, I always say the longest relationship you'll ever be in is the one with yourself. And this whole, ideology we see.
I know.
Yeah,
I've had not a lot of twosomes or threesomes, a lot of onesomes.
You're such a
Good old Chrismak had a lot of onesomes in his time.
But the thing is, though, is that you have a lot of people who watch movies and are like, oh, I found my other half.
That's bullshit.
It's bullshit. You should be a full person with a full personality, self-worth, self-respect, know who you are, know what you want, know what you like, and you find another whole person. It shouldn't be that you're constantly seeking out another half to complete you. It's
I agree. You should be a whole person and you should find another person's whole.
You really are a monster. Chico says it's never too late. If it is something you want, just put in work in. You'll surprise yourself hanging there. Wiki says golden retriever black cat couples, which is funny, Wiki, because they always joke that the black cat has to be the girl and the golden retriever has to be the boy for it to work. I think it's an interesting thing. I think that all you have to do is I think opposites work. I think if you're the same personality type, it can work. I think it just depends on what personality type you have. Because I don't know if Aiden's a black cat or if he's a Doberman and I'm a golden retriever. Knowing what fuels you is really important. Yes, I'm definitely
Aiden's
coded.
an elephant.
Oh my God. Oh, at least you didn't say fucking cobra. I'm definitely Aiden coded. I'm so introverted and alone time is essential. Well, what's interesting is Chris, do you feel like Stephanie's alone time has to be alone, or can it be with you present, but she's doing her own thing?
I don't know because I'm scared of her. So usually it's alone because she scares me.
I actually think if I can say this is the truth. And this happened do you remember during the Hot Ones challenge when we were asking like, what are each other's favorite attributes of each other? And one of Aiden's thing was he loves that I am a little scary, that I'm a little dangerous and scary.
Yeah.
I think more than anything, look at Nair and Brady. I'm telling you, when I see long-term successful couples, one of the biggest connecting threads is that the men, if it's a straight cis relationship, that the men are just a little bit scared of the woman counterpart. Just like a little, like not like actual fear or abuse or anything like that, but just a little modicum, a sprinkling of fear. It really seems to be, of all of my friend groups, that is one of the, just a tiny bit of like, she's a little bit unhinged. So
here's what I'll say, and this is actually a good thing that you're talking about this.
Rex and Nodders. Yes.
So I'll say this, and this is for real, okay?
Yeah.
So I got married.
Yeah.
And one of my grooms was one of my best friends for my whole life, and he is one of the funniest guys I've ever known. And he's like, you know what? There's gonna be a time in your life when you're married, and you're gonna go as a man. You're gonna go to your friend's house. You're gonna sit on the couch, and you're gonna just sit there. You're gonna watch TV with them, and in your head, you're gonna be like, that bitch is crazy.
Yeah.
And if you have a little bit of that in you, it's always good.
It's always good. I think because I feel like as a woman who's a little bit like fiery and unpredictable, I think, for any relationship, I think it's nice when there's a little bit of like, like they keep you on your toes. I think that's what's one of the things that, at least I know Aiden really enjoys, because Aiden is a much more stable personality force. He's like always riding at like a 6, and I can swing from a 10 to a 4 to a 2 to a fucking 50 in like the shut up, Chris. Oh my God, Philip Overhose, how you doing? Yeah, same for my husband and I. We grew up together and evolved as people together. Yes, we are 99% good now, but we've had a ton of, for sure, Carly. Chris, how do you feel about rough patches?
Like on your asshole, or?
I am trying so hard. How do you think of rough patches? I think they are good. I think they show you the faults that are happening currently in your relationship. And I think men and women both, partner, whatever it is, each partner, let's say, should look at a rough patch, go through it, and then if you want to stay with that person, because sometimes it doesn't work out, but if you want to stay with that person, you should make it a goal
to lessen the rough patches
I agree.
and learn from them, but lessen them. And it's a very cliche thing to say, and it's hard to do in the moment.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just want to, choke slam your mate through a table.
You do not actually want to. No, Chris, I feel like I have to put a disclaimer on every other sentence you say.
Sometimes you feel like it. You obviously wouldn't because they're your mate. But sometimes you feel like it, and you have to realize that those feelings will come and go in a relationship. It's one of the things that actually Stephanie said to me a long time ago. And it goes with those rough patches, because sometimes the anger gets really high. And it goes to the same thing that Stephanie said to me a long time ago. When you're with your mate, you will, guaranteed in your life, find other people in your life that at the time may be better, funnier, smarter, more attractive than your partner. But you have to go back home, play it out in your head. And when you play it out in your head of the grass is greener, you have to think about your partner and why you started, and then work towards that. Because the partner that you have currently, you care about or you want to be with. So when you're really high emotion, or you meet a person who's really much greater, it's better to not act on those things. Think about them, let them go through you, and then get back to the focus of why I started with my original partner. Why do I love them? Why do I care? And a lot of that starts out with, now here's where we can get into how to have a good relationship. A lot of that starts out with boundaries.
Yeah.
When you start your relationship, focus on boundaries.
Yeah.
Focus on things like boundary styles. By the way, for everyone, all these worksheets will be in self-care right after this.
Thank you.
There are 3 types of boundary styles: porous, healthy, and rigid. It'll explain what they all are. And you want a healthy boundary style. Because people always say, you gotta start with boundaries, you gotta start with communication. We all know this. But you also realize that you have to realize that you will have fits of anger. There'll be times where you just wanna, listen, there has been times where I'm sure Stephanie has wanted to pitch me off a bridge.
No!
You know me, I know me.
No.
But she doesn't act on it. And she wouldn't act on it because she's here for a reason. And it's one of the things I've realized in a good relationship. Because in relationships, we become our traumas of the past.
Yes.
And in relationships, sometimes we bring baggage.
Yeah.
And if you free yourself of those things, even 50%, one of the hard lessons I learned in my divorce, when I got divorced, was there was nothing I could actually do. What was I going to do? Hit Erica over the head and then drag her home,
Chris,
put her in bed and pretend it was a dream?
Right.
You can't.
Right.
You have to let your baggage go. You have to let those feelings pass through you and work through them to be the best mate you can be, because your partner should be your champion. Like you said, you should equally have personal boundaries. You should be your own people, and you shouldn't be a soulmate per se.
Well,
you become a soulmate later on, but you should be champions for each other. And through that, you'll realize you're soulmates.
Right. Well, I agree with most of the things you said. I think there's a couple things that were interesting that I feel the grass is greener kind of concept is an interesting one, because I think that the grass isn't always greener, and that kind of, is definitely stemming from something, like you said, communication wise, that's breaking down. It's like you're viewing through the lens of what are they doing wrong? What are they not, what are they not giving me? And that, I don't know if that's necessarily like, I don't at least think it's like, oh, immediately I'm going to go, cheat or do something. 'Cause that's like insane to me. That's like too many leaps away. I think cheating is like abhorrent. Yep. But I think it's are you starting to build up a resentment? And that resentment is poison for a relationship. When you start to become resentful of each other, it is the first seed that really sows like genuine, where you get to that hatred feeling, that resentment, anger. When you feel like you are looking at somebody who is supposed to love you and you're supposed to love them, and you feel resentful, that is a very volatile feeling in a relationship, which I feel like is that sort of first stage of like, oh, maybe the grass is greener? Are you becoming resentful because your partner isn't giving you what you need? And I think that's what's interesting. The other thing you brought up that was interesting was the soulmate feeling. And I feel like you could be a whole person and another person and still be soulmates. And I also think you can know right away your soulmates, and that's totally fine too. I don't know. I think some people, when you know, you know. I also think as you get older, you know, like you said, like, you know, once you're older, you'll know yourself more and you'll know what you need. And I think it's interesting because I think as people are finding their significant other, they're also comparing it to others. And you've been in a relationship for a long time. I've been in a relationship for a long time. I think that's another super big thing that can create poison, is if you are comparing your relationship to a friend.
No, the one thing I do like about soulmates,
yeah,
is that if you feel like it is a soulmate, most people will then put in the work.
Yeah,
which I love.
100%. I think that's one of the biggest things, is that if you feel like you are soulmates, you will put in the work. You will not let that bond that feels indescribable go. You are going to fight tooth and nail to mend whatever communication issues you're having. So Elle wrote, I've been in a non-monogamous relationship with myself for years. I'm working on myself so I don't have so much baggage to bring. I think that's Elle, and I don't know about Chris, but for me and Aiden, one of the biggest issues for our communication is both of our traumas from childhood. Aiden grew up in a family that didn't say they loved each other. They just showed it through acts of service. They literally barely touched, and they barely ever said, I love you. So it wasn't until he started dating me that he had ever heard any family ever end the phone call and go, okay, love you, bye. And that's what my family always did. So Aiden grew up with, like, there was no emphasis on words. And he also grew up where everything was, any issues amongst his family dynamic was brushed under the rug. So he never really, nothing ever got resolved. My family was the polar opposite. We were words. We were explosive. My parents would fight really badly in front of me and my sister. And there was a lot of trauma from that as well. So our issues, our rough patches, our miscommunications, we have finally figured out is because, I hate to be that cliche, but it's from our parents. I mean, it really is. It really is. You don't want to blame the parents, but it's true. Aaron Party wrote, communication. Regardless if it's an argument, it helps you understand each other. I completely agree. Chris, do you also feel like people have different communication styles, and once you figure out what yours is, it can help be very beneficial to navigate those rough patches? Because like Aiden's communication style is much different than mine. Yeah, we're almost, I know that the timer's run out. We'll wrap this, you know, I want to make sure we caught up with all the chat.
I agree. So yeah. Yes, I believe that you should know your communication style. Yeah. I also believe that if you're in a relationship, you should appreciate the differences in each of you. Yes. And appreciate your spouse is different. And if it's a difference, let's say they have ADHD or something like that, recognize it and learn to work around it and help them. Yeah. Like you said, be their champion. Resilient Water, this makes single sound so much. Well, being single in a lot of ways can be, if you're in a bad, I don't want to say bad, if you're in a misaligned relationship, being single is preferable and more peaceful and more relaxing. If you're in a misaligned relationship, 1000%, I've said it on stream, you should rather be with yourself than be with the wrong person, because the wrong person can do like a lot more damage than just being alone. Charlie Bowley wrote, I'm in the middle of an introverted extroverted, so I'm like around people, especially friends, but then I need to recharge my social battery. My partner's different. He is more of an introvert, but as long as he is with me, he's okay. Also, his battery drains faster than mine, which I respect that, so I put his needs before my own in that sense because I don't want to be overwhelmed. Well, Charlie Bowley, coming from, and I think Chris can also really weigh in on this, we are both extroverts. Our partners are both introverts. I will 100% say it's not necessarily putting you don't have to necessarily put their feelings above your own. You're just mindful that they're gonna tap out earlier than you, that they may need to like excuse themselves and go take a minute by themselves. It doesn't mean that you have to prioritize leaving the party early necessarily. It means that like maybe they need to go outside and get a breath of fresh air while you're still dancing or whatever, and that's okay. Both of you can make room for each other. Chris, do you want to weigh in on the introvert extrovert? I think that is exactly right. Yeah. I think that I just went on a trip with my sister, who is much like myself. Right. And Stephanie, and me and my sister can walk, for instance, me and my sister can walk around a mall and just look at things for hours. Stephanie cannot. So she went sat, had a jugo juice, and she was fine.
Yeah.
And then she came back. And it was just fine.
I think that's what Aiden will do too. Like a really good example is when we were at TwitchCon. Aiden was towards the end, especially, he was definitely like stimulated. And I'm still raring to go. So, every now and then you would see him kind of wander. He'd lean against the wall. He'd always be watching me and he'd always have me in his sights. But he would like take a break from the group and go like linger by the wall, or he'd get himself a drink. Like, it didn't mean that he had to leave the experience. It didn't mean that he was going to pull me out of the experience early. But I know that he's going to need a second. Oh my God, Sari Bot's like, you're done. No, we're almost done. And then also that I can keep doing my thing. The better you know yourself, the more likely you are to be successful in a relationship. Yes.
You know what I like though?
Yes.
You know what is one thing that I will say as a suggestion to everybody? If you are in a relationship, I am very big on surrounding yourself with friends who are also in good relationships.
Yeah, that's
because you rub off on each other.
Yeah.
And it makes everybody better.
Well, also, it can also, to be the devil's advocate, it can also make you, if you're in a rough spot, feel really bad. Because you'll see the other couples, and that can be hard. It can be hard. It can, because you see the other couples, and then you're like, well, we're not in a good place. So it can be, but somehow that could also be beneficial because it could, create a conversation. Now, one of the big things I want to talk to you about is, how do you feel about cold shouldering people?
I hate it. It's stupid.
I think this is a little drastic, but I'm going to just speak my truth about this for real. I think doing the cold shoulder to really anybody, but in particular your significant other, I think it's a form of emotional abuse. I think that especially prolonged cold shouldering without any end, and also not only without any end, but without any communication during that time to like at least be told. It is very, very, very painful for the other person, and it's very detrimental, and I think it can be a form of emotional abuse. How do you feel about cold shouldering?
I think that you should cold shoulder a person no more than 15 minutes.
I think that's the most amount of time, like 15.
Because that is the maximum
right
before your friend or your spouse or your
parent
partner
or whatever
will start to go
spiral,
in their mind.
For sure.
And it'll spiral just like health with me.
Right.
And it'll drive me nuts.
I think that honestly, like an hour is like a very long
too much.
Yeah,
that's too
much. Because what will happen is that cold shouldering without an end time, without a time frame, the other person, especially if they have anxious attachment style, will spiral out. So if you're an avoidant and you are like, avoidants love to cold shoulder. If an avoidant is cold shouldering you and you have an anxious attachment style, you are literally putting them through hell. And it's very unfair. It doesn't mean that the avoidant has to constantly, if me or Aiden, I'm not an avoidant. I wouldn't even say either of us are really we both work so hard on our attachment styles. We're really in a good place. But I will say that if Aiden needs 10 minutes to keep his tone, I have a trigger with tone. So if he needs 10 minutes to just make sure his tone stays nice and steady, because I have trauma from my childhood, I'll give him that 10 minutes. But anything past 10 minutes to an hour, I'm going to start spiraling. I'm going to need to self-soothe. So maybe I might leave the house. I might go to Barnes & Nobles. I'm going to do the things to take care of myself. But it also isn't really fair to put me in a position that I'm going to have to self-soothe for hours. Because that's really hard and really challenging. Chico says, the better you know yourself, the more likely you are to be successful in a relationship. Carly wrote, for my birthday, my mother, and Mother's Day this year, I said exactly what I wanted and it helped me not get bummed. That's very true about the birthday stuff, is making sure you advocate for yourself so you're not disappointed. Your partner is not a mind reader. Exactly. Oh my God, Chris. I said what I want to feel special. Here are some ideas I need now. That's great, Carly. But waiting until someone asks you to do something, also being very passive and being absolutely Andy. Say what you want, need. We all have different languages. Exactly. Some of us are simply doomed. And
here's something that isn't talked about very often. Yes. And I always tell people when they're getting into a relationship, make sure you're attracted to the person, not the ideal relationship.
Right. Also, can we go deeper than that too? Be attracted to the person, not their looks, because looks fade, people change, people get old, bodies change, people go through experiences with their body. You have to be in love with that person's personality and their mind and who they are, because it will change over time. And I completely agree with what you just said. Oh, I'm just trying to make sure we catch up so this isn't another 2 hour fucking, because our last one ended up being like an hour and a half. My lack of confidence has been the number one thing that has gotten in my way of relationship. That's a really good. Chris, do you have any way to weigh in about confidence and how that can affect relationships?
It can crush a relationship, or it can make a relationship great. But if you are lacking confidence and you're in a relationship, then you have a communication problem.
Right.
Because they chose you for a reason, and you chose them for a reason. And either of you could walk away at any time, but they're choosing not to because they see greatness in you.
Right.
So it's a communication thing.
Yeah. A lot of this, it seems like we're circling back over and over to communication. And Andy wrote such a good thing, and I'm so glad that I caught it. Are people who are teenagers a whole person, though? Because there's so much more growing to be done. I think my mom would have been such a stronger person if she was allowed to grow up before being in a long-term relationship. Andy, I fucking can't agree with this more. No, I was not even close to a whole person, and neither was Aiden. And that's why, I gotta be honest, we fought forever, man. We had really like very cinematic, big, stupid, screaming at each other in the rain, volatile love like that when we were young, because you are absolutely right. Our communication style sucked. There wasn't even a whiff of understanding attachment style, communication style, trauma responses, 100%. And that's why as adults, I go to therapy, Aiden goes to therapy, and we've worked through that. And now, yeah, I would say I'm a full person. Aiden's a full person. And now we have the skills in our arsenal to be whole people in a long-term knock on anything, healthy relationship. Because I always say, like, no relationship is perfect. Not a single one. But this is, Andy, that's such a good point. Yes, high school sweethearts, I think the reason why they either last the test of time or they explode and get divorced is because you either put in the work to become a whole person, or you end up just being almost stuck, like frozen in time to when you were 16 and found each other, or 18 or whatever it is. Chrysanthemum said a little fear is healthy. Yes. We should get Lucid here. He might say so. The fear
By the way, for everybody who's out there, men more than women, don't be afraid to go to therapy. Therapy with your spouse, therapy by yourself.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to do it. If you care about your relationship, it is worth it. If you have a lot of trauma and baggage, it is worth it.
Yes, I agree. I mean, therapy, we could ring the therapy bells forever. It's a game changer. It's amazing. It's incredible. Therapy will, I think, anybody who has an aversion to therapy, it's mostly stemming from you're afraid. Like, it really is a fear response to look at yourself in the mirror and realize you have things to change, and you have to be okay with knowing you're going to change. But therapy is a game changer. And Andy Brasso wrote, is it fear or a healthy level of respect? A lot of people use the term scary in place of more positive terms, but that, Andy, 100%. I think you're right. I think passionate, maybe women with a sprinkle of extra zest or passion or a little bit of an extra like feistiness, absolutely is what I mean when I talk about like that fear kind of feeling. We're all a little crazy. Yeah, my husband parts a crowd like a sea is ready at concerts. Yes. Remember why you fell in love with what you, yes, that's a great suggestion. Absolutely. Boundaries are also not an excuse to control or manipulate your partner. Important to make sure you are using them to create safety, not control. How do you feel about that too, Chris?
About what?
About boundaries not being an excuse to make control or manipulate your partner.
I fully agree with that.
Yeah.
And there will be boundary worksheets, so you can all look at them in the self-care section, as well as a relationship assessment, which is kind of nice because I think people should check in on their relationship monthly.
I think that's so good. Do check-ins. I love check-ins. Aiden and I do check-ins all the time. It also appears greener, but you don't know that person at the same level. Truth, resentment is horrible. If you are at that point, highly recommend therapy. Yes. South Carolina said, I hope my ex is taking notes. Marriage therapy is incredible. Slick, 100% agree with that. Relationships, I also just think that people in general should go to therapy. Whether you're in a relationship or not, everybody benefits from therapy. It's an amazing, amazing thing. I can't remember what country, but instead of saying the grass is greener, they say the other man's ass is cleaner. Ew. Important in Chris, please. Important in any relationship, romantic or family, to remember you have a part in it. Never it is one person's fault. So look at your part and own it, and where that work begins. Childhood trauma is real and therapy is eye-opening. It is. Yes, I think my number one love language is words of affirmation because I didn't get that growing up. Why I like compliments. Yes, Converse, I love words. Okay. Also, Converse, we're gonna wrap it up with this last question for Converse. How do you feel about open relationships, Chris?
I'm not a fan because I'm in a monogamous relationship, but if they're for you, do it. I don't care. But there has to, obviously I figure if you're in an open relationship, there's a lot of communication. There's a lot of set dynamic, not rules supposedly, but y'all know what's happening. I think that it works for some people and not for others. I think that aside from open relationships, because I know there's a lot of people here that are like, I want to be in a relationship. Here's the tip for being in a relationship. If you like somebody, slowly get to know them and take the shot. You're living here. You're on Earth for 80, 90 years. Take the shot. Just try it.
Try it.
I agree. Don't be scared.
That's great.
Now, because you said it. So here's two things. Okay. If you're currently in a breakup, because some of us are, some of us aren't. Great book for breakups it's called A Breakup Because It's Broken. Stephanie gave me this book when I was having a relationship issue. Best book ever. If you're in a relationship and it's kind of like just become normalized and you want to get to the next level because you realize you love your spouse or your partner, a great book, The Love Dare. Check it out. It does daily for like a whole year. It does a daily thing that you can do to show that you love your partner. Very simple things.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It's really fun. It's really fun.
That's so good.
And the other one for people who are just working through their shit so that they can come to a place where they can love themselves enough to have somebody love them. The Art of Not Giving a Fuck is such a good book.
I think Brady gave me that book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Don't live with inside your head. Your traumas don't define you. You can go past them. You can have a life of love and happiness. You can build the life you want.
Yeah.
Go out there and get it.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Troy, for the 41-month resub. I think that this might have to be a two-part. Let's do relationships again next month too. We'll touch base on this again next month. I think it'll be good. I think there's a lot more.
Before we leave,
yeah.
Put up a picture of your lunch.
No, I won't. Tell me what's wrong with it. I literally can't. It will pull your camera down. I can't do it.
Yeah. Okay, fine. So, but will it leave my sound up? So first off, you're gonna post your lunch. This bitch has a half a loaf of bread.
It's not that much. It's not that much.
In a fucking bougie. You stole it. She stole a little tin cup from a restaurant, and she has one little dollop of butter with no knives around, no forks around, no spoons around. I don't know. She's just ripping bread and eating butter, and then it's like some kind of eggs and strawberries. That's cool. Who eats a half a fucking loaf of bread?
It's not
and then
that
has this much
it was
butter?
Forced perspective.
Oh my god.
The bread was closer to the camera. You fuck. It's literally.
That's what I tell Stephanie in the bedroom. It's forced perspective.
I weigh everything. It was 2 eggs. It was 5 grams of fucking butter, and it was 55 grams of bread.
You have to weigh an egg?
You are such
Tell me how much an egg
fuck.
weighs.
You are such a fucking butt fuck. The bread was hanging off the fucking plate and it was close to the camera, you fuck. Okay, hang up on me already. I'm gonna fucking...
Look at what Stephanie said.
Wait, I'm too far behind. No way, this guy has misinterpreted me and besmirched my name. Do not have him back for discussion.
She's horrible.
I love Stephanie. Stephanie, I love you so much. Oh my god, fucking Chris just hung up with me. Oh my god, I love you. Okay, well that was one way to end. Okay.
Oh god, 34 minutes with Chrismak.